Destiny, you did a lot of research about studies that disprove red pill dogma and talking points. Can you lay out some of the big ones to open up discussion to that? A big one I remember is you brought up a study showing there's only a mild difference in terms of body count between tall guys and below average height guys, or fat guys and skinny guys. I personally found that very interesting because it seems extremely counterintuitive. But as far as I know, that study seems pretty legit. So, yeah, can you kind of lay some of those out, the ones that you found to be the most egregious displays of how the red pill is wrong?
I just think everything revolving around like hypergamy and like how hyper ultra exaggerated all those claims get end up not being borne out in any like strong study that I could find. So for instance, yeah, like a difference in guys' height, income, all of these things don't seem to make much difference in average body count. It seems like the biggest differentiating factor is just if you want to fuck and you go out and you talk to a lot of girls trying to fuck, you probably will. But like obesity, height, I think it was income, like these things just don't have as much of an effect if you measure them on average. I also think that people think that people's body counts are way higher than they actually are.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
on most of the Red Pill podcasts I've been on, like the consensus seems to settle around, I think when I was on whatever, they said that the average body count of a woman in college working in her undergrad was 50. And it's just like an insane amount of exaggeration on that, or the what was the 30, 40, 50% of college women are getting flown out to Dubai or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
I think
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think people dramatically overestimate the sexual
Agreed.
habits sometimes of people that play into whatever particular narrative that they're talking about.
So Destiny, you brought that up in the first time we debate, the first time we met when we were on Fresh and Fit. And the thing about it is, I remember it was something like 6 feet tall. They had like 10 bodies, and 6'1" it was like 12. And then I can't remember what it was, but it was like 2 or 3 bodies. And coming from the statistics standpoint, what I heard was not 10 and 12, but what I heard was a 20% increase. That's what I heard. The other thing is, because like you said, what is the median number of sexual partners for a man is 5, but the average is 15. I can't remember if I got those two numbers backwards or whatever it was, but like the numbers in general for most men are just very low. So because the number is low, the variance is going to be low. And that's why I thought those numbers were low. But here's
Also,
the
the numbers,
thing.
when we say the numbers for men are going to be low, the numbers for men and women are always going to be the same. It's going to be a 1-to-1
sure.
equal. Yeah.
Oh, in general, like what you were saying, in general, the numbers low. They're really not low, right? If I'm a Quaker 100 years ago, having 5 bodies is not low.
Sure.
But
The
like,
biggest
if I'm a guy
discrepancy was like, so for height, like very short on average, these guys had 9.4 partners. For extremely tall, theirs was 12.3. For BMI, the underweight guys had 8.2. For people that were overweight, they hit the highest. It was 12. My guess is a lot of muscular Chad people are probably in that BMI category. But like, these are the biggest differences. Yeah.
So when I hear 9 and 12, I just hear a 33% increase. Like that's it. So like in general, if you extrapolate now that 33% increase, if you live in Brickell, now that average number is higher. Whether if you live in
that can
Vermont.
be fine, and there are times when a per capita estimate is relevant, or like a percentage increase is relevant, but there are other times where it's inappropriate and it's more absolute values are probably what we're looking at. For instance, if I were to go into a room with my family and I'd be like, oh my God, like you should meet like my in-laws, they're insane. This guy has twice as many kids as we do. And if I have 1 kid and he has 2, that's a really weird statement to make. You'd say, well, hold on, he's got 2, you've got 1. He's like, but that's 100% increase. I was like, I guess, but with the way that we deal with these numbers, if somebody were to say, Chad dudes fuck 30% women more on average, than short dudes, and the numbers are like 13 to 10. I just think most people wouldn't engage with that on a per capita or percentage basis. They'd probably be more interested in the absolute comparison.
Yeah. So I think one of the things, because I loved when we had this debate before, one of the issues is like when it comes to status, it's not just height or it's not just these. Remember, we had this discussion before. I agree with you that if a guy goes out a lot and tries to get laid a lot, he's going to get laid more. But remember that we had a discussion about more attractive women, how status would have to play a part in it. I do think status has to play some part when it comes to that. And there's many different ways to have status besides just money and height. But money and height are demographic things that are very easy to calculate. So that's why we use those. What we do find is that taller men do have sex with more than shorter men do. That we still did find that to be the case. So there is some sprinkle of hypergamy in there somewhere. But I'm of the camp that it's like you can overcome any of these things. Dude, Destiny, you have game. You take this as a compliment.
Yeah, I understand.
You punch way above your weight. And
but I'm also saying
example of what I'm saying.
Sure, but I'm saying like even the phrasing there is so loaded. Like you can overcome being short and fuck the same as a very tall guy. And the overcoming is short guys, so 5'5" to 5'7", have 11 average partners. And if they overcome, maybe they can have as much sex as the tall guys who are 5'11" to 6'1", who have 12 average partners. So if you overcome, you can have that one extra partner. And it's like, well, what are we even overcoming here? Like this seems such a weird thing to fixate on. Like it seems like almost a non-issue.
But that goes back to my point. I think height is one of a myriad of attributes that women find attractive. And so the reason why the numbers are so close is because it's an average of social networking, comedy, or like humor, the ability to be charismatic, pre-selection, a social proof, exactly, things like that. All of them go together, and then they average out. And then so you're going to find, like, again, I was talking to Bilzerian. By the way, I'm missing just how much I love you guys. I'm missing paintball at Bilzerian's house right now. I was going to go play paintball at Bilzerian's house, and I skipped it just so I could come to this. But like, I was talking to Bilzerian about this, and he was talking about guys who are super wealthy and good looking and just don't get laid at all because they just don't know how to do it. So what does that mean? That means that there's things other than looks and height that allow men to have more success with women.